West Virginia lost their fifth straight game on Saturday, losing to Arkansas 77-68. On today's episode, we talk about takeaways from Arkansas, Sean McNeil's recent struggles, as well as looking at whether or not this team can turn things around, while also taking a quick look at WVU's tournament chances. This is the BlueGoldSports.com podcast. What's going on, everyone? Wesley, Shoemaker back with Aaron Parker on the BlueGoldSports.com podcast. West Virginia drops a tough one today, 77-68. Mountaineers trailed by as many as 19 in the second half, cut it to 5 points, but in the end, the Mountaineers could not get it done. Sean McNeil struggled again, scoring 7 points for the Mountaineers, while Kedrian Johnson scored 18, Taz Sherman scored 15. But it was the West Virginia defense that could not stop Arkansas on the inside, leading to a Arkansas victory and West Virginia losing their fifth straight game. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm good. It's another tough day to be a Mountaineer.
Yep. Tough one today. Seemed like in the first half, West Virginia kind of weathered an early Arkansas storm. They trailed 16-5 early, forcing in a West Virginia timeout, but so they seem to kind of get back into it, trailed by 9.5, but then that first 4 minutes of the second half was really just killer.
Yeah, Arkansas got out to an early lead. I don't believe they ever even lost the lead. Early on, it just immediate. It just felt like the game immediately started with Arkansas up 9-10 points, and it was hard for WVU to climb back in it. They dug themselves into an early hole. Arkansas got to the line throughout the game as they shot 34 free throws. That's going to win you a lot of ball games. They made 28 of them. So it was just about playing catch up for the Mountaineers. They had one little spurt in the second half where it looked like there was a lot of life, but it was just not enough.
Yeah, Arkansas had 4 starters that scored double digits. All of them scored at least 12 points. I think that's a really good recipe for success. I mean, if you look at West Virginia, their 4 starters, Keedy had 18, JB had 6, Taz had 15, Cottrell, no points. He didn't get a lot of playing time. 13 minutes, was in foul trouble. We'll get to that a little later. 0-4 from the field. And then McNeil with 7. I think the biggest thing is West Virginia's bigs got in foul trouble again. Last week against Texas Tech, it was the same story. And this week you had Polycap, Cottrell, I'm blanking. Polycap, Cottrell, Kerrigan, and Gabe. Gabe gave you 7 points. Cottrell gave you none. Polycap gave you a free throw. And Kerrigan gave you a free throw. And if you look at the rebounding counts, they combined for, Cottrell had 2, Polycap had none, Gabe had 3, Kerrigan had 3. That's like 6 or 7 rebounds. That's just not good on the interior. And then if you go look at Arkansas, they just killed West Virginia. If you look at Jalen Williams finished, what do you have? He had 15 rebounds and 12 points. When Arkansas has that kind of just, I don't know, swagger, that skill on the inside, it's gonna be hard for West Virginia to win some games.
Yeah, Arkansas came to play. They had 4 out of their 5 starters score double digits. They had 2 shooters that went 6 for 8 in Note and Tony. Like you said, Jalen Williams was a handful. Scored 12, got 15 boards. Only shot the ball 3 of 13, but he didn't need to shoot the ball efficiently. He got 15 boards, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and obviously WVU's big men. You can put all of them out there, and they're not going to stop him. Cottrell got in early foul trouble. I want to say he played 13 minutes and was like minus 15. That's unbelievable. Polycap gave you a free throw. Williams was too much inside, and then their guard play was just all around better.
Yeah, another thing for West Virginia is they're going to have to get McNeil going. McNeil struggled again, 7 points, 3 for 11 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. This team was supposed to be built on the backs of Sean McNeil and Taz Sherman. And over the past couple of weeks during this 5-game skid, it's either been all McNeil and no Sherman, or it's been no Sherman, no McNeil, or it's been a bit of both. And tonight, Taz, He's had 15, but he just wasn't that efficient. 4 of 11 from the field, and McNeil was 3 of 11 from the field. That's 7 for 22 between your two best players, and that's hard to win games. I know it seems like we keep repeating ourselves saying it's hard to win games, it's hard to win games, it's hard to win games. Yes, the Big 12's good, but you have a recipe for success, which is defense and getting your two best players going. And it seems like in the last week and a half against Baylor, then against Texas Tech, and then now against Oklahoma on Tuesday, and then today against Arkansas. Teams have started to figure out that if you can stop McNeil and Taz, it's hard to lose.
Yeah, basically it's impossible to lose if you're shutting down those guys. I know Taz gave you 15 today, but 4 of 11 from the field. He didn't get his first field goal till it seemed like halfway through the first half. It was a good 3, but he wasn't shut down, but he wasn't a difference maker. And McNeil has just continued to struggle. I'm not really sure what his deal is. 3 of 11. There was one time he rose up for a jump shot. It looked like it was his shot. He just passed the ball, and Hugs took him out and was like, shoot the ball.
Yeah.
So not sure. It seems to be mental at this point, but mental and physical. But yeah, if you're playing the Mountaineers, if you're stopping those guys, yeah, you're gonna win every time.
Yeah, another thing I want to go to is finding other guys to go to on offense. JB had 6. Malik had 11, which wasn't bad. But Huggins has talked about trying to get Jamel King, Seth Wilson, some of these new freshmen in the game. Today, Wilson had 6 minutes of play. King had 3 minutes of play. Obviously not high level quality minutes, but you did see them play. And I think that is a sign going forward that Huggins believes in these guys. And he keeps saying they can make shots. I'm going to put them in the game because they can make shots. And I think that's a good sign for West Virginia if they can start getting some run and possibly play more minutes down the stretch here.
Yeah, Hugs told us that Wilson and King had a good week in practice, and he wanted to get those guys in more against Oklahoma and didn't really do so. Saw Wilson make a nice jump shot. It was all net, so that was good.
Steal, and then a little pop shot in transition was pretty nice.
Yep, it was a nice looking shot. He had a couple bad ones. I think the last one got forced. So yeah, I definitely, it'd be interesting to see what those guys can do. I wonder if when Hugs was talking about like project guys and not getting basketball skill players, I wonder who he's talking about there. Because Jamel King seems very raw along with Okonkwo. So seeing those guys play more, even in Big 12 play, it's just going to show you what they got, and it's going to give them experience.
Yeah, another thing back to Hugs and playing time. The one constant theme, I would say, since the beginning of Big 12 play has been Huggins is he's been talking about effort, and he's been talking about who's going to give me what. And he's also then said the guys who are going to play hard and do what I need them to do are going to get more playing time. And if you look at minute shares, I think you can start to kind of figure out who he's talking about. Polycap played 5 minutes. Cottrell played 13 minutes. But then you look on the flip side, Kerrigan played 22 minutes. Osaboyan played 13. He was in foul trouble. I think everyone knows he's going to give his all, and he's not in Hugs' doghouse. But if you're looking at those guys, that's Polycap and Cottrell, who have been, for some of the season, where your most reliable big man was Polycap inside. And now he gets 5 minutes on the road in a game that you had to have. I'm not sure if Huggins he's obviously not going to ever say, oh, it's Pauly, or oh, it's Isaiah, or oh, it's, who knows, Jalen Bridges, just pulling names out at this point. But I think there is a point to say that, okay, look, minute share is going to start to change. And if you look at the minute share, I think it gives some level of indication, although they were all in foul trouble, so we had to manage them a little differently.
Yeah. It makes you wonder. Polycat being a 5th-year guy, he's been at 2 other schools, Manhattan and DePaul, and just if he comes in here, he was at one time in the non-conference play. He was one of the more reliable big men for Hugs, but 5 minutes a game, yeah, it makes me wonder if he's one of those guys that he's alluding to. Isaiah Cottrell is just, I don't know. Maybe it's not an attitude.
He's struggling right now, man.
Maybe I don't I don't think with Cottrell it's some kind of attitude or lackluster problem.
I just think he's
He's
just hasn't
playing.
had the experience.
Yeah, that he's just playing. He's just not giving you anything. Every rebound is going to the other team. Again, 13 minutes minus 15. He's not giving you anything offensively any night. So maybe it's just a numbers game at this point when it comes out talking about Cottrell. Because I wouldn't think that it's an attitude problem. I think it's just maybe they're starting to look at the numbers and it's like, maybe we got to do better than this.
Yeah, and obviously I'm not Bob Huggins. I'm not a 900 win head coach, but it's come pretty evident that Cottrell, he's talented, but I don't think he's ready to be a starting five in a conference that is as deep and is as skilled and big and strong at that position. And when you go and you need a rebound, he's getting some of those rebounds, but you need a guy that can go give you a shot at every rebound. And at this point in time, I could be wrong. I'm not sure if he's that guy, but I'm also not sure if there's any other guy who is more capable than Isaiah Cottrell.
That's the unfortunate part about it because watching these games, I am pretty sold that he is not the guy. But I know for a fact that there's nobody else. Like Polycap's going to be gone next year, probably. Kerrigan's probably going to be gone next year. There's it's just there's no
What
Derek
other
Thompson.
options does Huggins
Yeah,
have? That's
there's
the
there's
real
not much.
question.
There's
Exactly.
not much, and he's going to have to dip into the portal big time this coming year. I think Kerrigan's minutes today showed that he's on Huggs' upside.
Huggins
Obviously,
also Huggins also did talk about DC a little bit after the game. When they switched to that 1-3-1 there and that little run of theirs, they seemed to be kind of be moving around. He did say he did like Kerrigan's effort and he did think that he was playing well in the back end of that 1-3-1.
yeah, I noticed that too. Kerrigan's effort's high. Obviously, he's not. Unfortunately, if he gets like an offensive board and just he's putting it back right there, he's not going to make it. That's the unfortunate part. But his effort is good. Obviously he can challenge shots. He went up and two-hand blocked a ball today. So yeah, I like what I saw from him. It's just, there's flaws in all of the interior players' games, every single one of them.
Yeah, I do agree that there's flaws, and I think that if there was a solution, Huggins would know it. And at this point, it's January 29th. This team is near the bottom of the Big 12 and they were fighting for their tournament lives at this point. And you're just going to have to throw something on the wall until it sticks. And I think he's trying that with Cottrell. I think Huggins deep down believes in Isaiah Cottrell. And I think West Virginia fans believe in Isaiah Cottrell because they've seen what he can do. They've seen the shots he can make. They've seen him be able to bang around on the block. But I just don't think it's working at this very point. And I wonder if that calls into question if there should be some lineup changes.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, he's talented, but coming off an Achilles injury, it's throwing him in the starting lineup as soon as the season started. I raised an eyebrow, but yeah, we've seen a little bit of what he can do, but he hasn't shown much of anything over Big 12 play. I don't know Huggs to be somebody who just goes and changes lineups all the time. Obviously,
He likes
he likes sticking to
his
his
guns. He likes to kind of just
yeah, yeah,
play it out.
yeah. We remember, yeah, yeah. I remember even when like Jordan McCabe and Emmett Matthews were struggling, those guys stayed in the starting lineup until like Emmett got COVID. Huggs doesn't like to just automatically change up the lineup, but it begs the question because right now, the whole month of January, you've got nothing from number 13.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest question mark, I think, going forward. And looking forward, on Monday, this team's got to go play another top 5 team, and they've got to go play Baylor on the road. They've lost 5 straight. They had a shot against Baylor a couple weeks ago in the Coliseum. And Huggins in his post-game press conference today wasn't shying away. He wasn't shying away from Baylor. He knows, just like the rest of the country knows, Baylor's good, but he also knows where his team is. He said Baylor's an opportunity for West Virginia, and he hopes that this team is as hungry and is as mad and frustrated with the way those last 10 minutes went a couple weeks ago in Morgantown. And I think that opportunity looms large on Monday night.
Yep. Baylor's a great team, and it's tough to win in Waco. Um, yeah, if you're a Mountaineer player or a coach, you can tell they've been frustrated. Haven't picked up a win in a long time. It's been 5 straight. It's a great opportunity. Unfortunately, I don't think unfortunately, just it doesn't get any easier. The Big 12 does not get any easier. And like the commentator said, like this was WVU's quote unquote break from Big 12 play, but you have to go down and play in Fayetteville and try to play Arkansas. That's not much of a break, and it's not going to get much easier as the Bears are a top 5 team, defending champs, and they've had a couple losses, but I think they've got 2 or 3 straight, and it's not going to be easy to even compete there, let alone try to go in there and try to steal a win.
Yeah, the Mountaineers now 13-7, 2-5 in conference play. Their schedule the last 2.5 weeks has been nothing short of just brutal. Obviously at Kansas, home against Baylor 4 days later, and then on the road against Texas Tech 4 days later, then back home 5 days later against Oklahoma, then on the road to a team in Arkansas that, if we're being honest, they were in the top 15 most of this year early on, and now they're hot. They've won 6 straight now after tonight, and then Baylor on Monday again, and then Texas Tech on Saturday again. There is no break in this schedule, and this team knows that they are now sitting at 13-7. I think personally, if they can get to 19 wins, the tournament seems likely, but they're going to have to beat one of these teams down the stretch. And going forward, I know it doesn't get any easier, but Bob Huggins is confident. He did say that he does in his full heart of hearts believe this team will turn it around. But if you look at the schedule, Aaron, when's this turnaround going to start? Because Baylor on Monday, okay, if you win that, obviously that's a big time W, but that's also a big ask to go get a win on Baylor. What do you think of their possibility of turning it around here in the next week or so?
As I keep looking forward at the schedule, it's like, oh my gosh, Baylor on the road. It's like you want to get back to the Coliseum, but then Texas Tech is really good. We've already seen them play.
And then you got to play Iowa State, who's top 15
Iowa
team.
State. He's playing really good basketball. I don't know. I like Hugson's confidence that he's going to get it turned around. I don't know. You said you getting to that 19 win mark, you'd be confident in getting to the tournament. They're at 13-8 right now. I don't know. It's giving me vibes of an NIT type of maybe Aaron Harris type team. It's just such a hard schedule, and it's such a bad time to be getting cold. I'm not stamping that in, but it's just, I don't know. It's going to be really, really tough to turn around.
Yeah,
starting in February.
11 games left, and let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at home. So theoretically, you sweep your home slate going out of here. That puts you at 18. Then you steal one maybe against TCU on the road, steal Kansas State on the road, steal Oklahoma State on the road. If West Virginia wins, I say 4 out of their last 5 at home. And that would mean they beat Texas, Kansas, Texas Tech, Iowa State, and who else am I'm blanking? TCU. Thank you. I'm blanking on TCU. If they were to win 4 of those 5 games, those are 4 resume building wins. And I think that would give this team a confidence. And then if they go into the Big 12 tournament and steal a game, win 1, win 2, that also changes things as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough ask to even go 4 or 5 when you're home 4 going forward. The Big 12 is always competitive, but it just seems like everybody is it's just so good. There's no bottom feeders. It seems like every year there's either Iowa State, maybe TCU, K-State. There'll be 1, 2, or 3 maybe teams that are bottom feeders that'll compete every now and then. Everybody is really good. TCU.
There's at least 8 locks for the NCAA tournament right now in the Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't get over how neither Kansas State, or TCU or even like Iowa State's turned it around. They got
TCU
2
beat
wins.
number 19 LSU today. Like,
Yeah. I can't bank on 4 out of 5 on your home floor when TCU keeps winning and while K-State they lose, but like I don't know, they're always right there.
and
Well,
then,
we've
go ahead. Go ahead.
it's a tough ask. If the Mountaineers can get to that 17-ish, I don't know, win 3 or 4 at home, then I'd say it'll depend on Big 12 tournament play.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about a gauntlet that this was, think about this. West Virginia is going to travel to Manhattan, Kansas on February 14th. That's a Monday. So that's their last game until that next Saturday, the 19th of February, where they are home against Kansas. But then think about this. They have to travel from an 8 p.m. tip. So basically Sunday in the early hours of the morning or Sunday afternoon. They travel to Fort Worth for a Monday night tip against TCU. Obviously, that game got made up because in the first week, TCU was dealing with COVID issues. Then West Virginia has to travel to Iowa to face Iowa State on that next Wednesday night. And then they come back to West Virginia to play Texas 3 days later. So you're playing 4 games in 7 days in 3 different states. That is not an easy task when you're trying to search for wins and see what's winnable on your schedule.
Yeah, that's incredibly brutal. 4 and 7 days in 3 states, and that type of turnaround when you're in Morgantown on what'd you say Saturday against Kansas,
Yep.
and then you're getting on a flight to Fort Worth. That's a type of game, and you come out and play on Monday after just playing. That's a type of game. That's like a trap game that even if TCU is bad, WVU still loses that game a good bit of times. And now TCU is on paper maybe better than WVU. So that's a tough ask. And then to go down and you got to play Texas, you got to play at Oklahoma State. That's just incredibly brutal. And unfortunately, WVU has to pick up like 3 of those games, and that's such a tough ask.
Yeah, it would be nice if they could have gotten a win at Texas Tech, maybe beaten Baylor. Enough schedule talk for now. We keep talking about guys needing to step up. Obviously, we talked about the for the front court for the Mountaineers, but I do think the backcourt needs to step up. Those 2 seniors and McNeil and Sherman, they've been your go-to guys for the last 3 months, and I'm not sure what might be lingering injury-wise, COVID-wise with Taz, but Sean, man, he's been struggling. He keeps getting looks. He keeps passing some looks up, and I think it's a confidence thing. I think he knows he's not finding the net, not getting things to fall as much as he was at one point in time, and I think that is taking a hit on his confidence. What do you think?
I definitely think so. He's been very bad lately. I can tell some of it's gotten to his head a little bit. Yeah, he's a shooter. He's been playing college basketball for 3 or 4 years now. He can get past it.
Yeah, Sean. So
but
Sean's last 3 games, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, he scored 7 points in all 3 of those games. Against Baylor, he had
yeah,
17. Took him 13 shots to do it. So Baylor, he actually shot pretty well, 7 to 13, 3 of 5 against Baylor. But if you go back to Kansas, 4 of 11 from the field. Oklahoma State, 5 of 11 from the field. So in his last 6 games where West Virginia's lost 5, McNeil's really struggled, and I think that's one of the reasons why this team's dropping.
yeah. He's not getting looks. He's not getting open. When he's getting a little bit of room, he's not really shooting it like we've seen him shoot. Like even today, like I said, he pulled up for a shot and then threw a turnover, and then Hugs sat him down for a little bit. It's confidence based at this point, and he needs to see a couple go down early. I don't know. I said that a couple of times ago, but it's been like 4 straight games, and he just hasn't been able to do that. He needs to get going early if he wants to get his hot hand back. Speaking more on the backcourt, Kedron Johnson had 18 today. That's obviously not normal, but I think if you want to alleviate some pressure off a struggling Sean and Taz, who's lingering with COVID and injuries, I think it's just every now and then Kedron needs to step up and hit a shot, because watching that Oklahoma game, it's like they're not even worried about him shooting. They're just locking up Sean and Taz. So I think Kedron needs to be a guy that, step in and make 1 or 2 threes a game and extend the defense a little bit.
Yeah, to your Keedy point, we know how capable of a scorer he is, excuse me. Since he got here, all his teammates and all the coaches have talked about is Kedrian Johnson dropped 25. Kedrian Johnson dropped 30, but he did this in JUCO before coming here. Now that he's at a big level, last year on the road against Oklahoma State, he hit some big time shots to help West Virginia come back and win that game. And tonight you saw it. He went 4 or 5 from 3. That's ultra efficient. Like if you can get that go, if you can get Keedy and Malik to give you a combined, I want to say 20 to 25 points per game, and you get Sean and Taz to give you at least 25 for them two combined, you're sitting now around the 50-point mark. If one goes over and then you get, I don't know, maybe another 8 somewhere from your team, you're going to be hovering around at least the 60 to 65 point mark. And I think that is a recipe for success, but Keedy has to take more shots. Keedy, if he can, if defenses know Keedy can dribble the ball down the floor and be a threat to shoot, it's going to be harder for them to stick to Taz, face guard Sean, because then, we leave Keedy open after we double one of them and he can hit a shot.
Yeah, this just starts with he needs to be taking more shots. Obviously, like Taz and Sean, you would rather have those guys rise up and shoot the ball, but Keedy was one of the leading scorers in JUCO before he came to WVU. If not, I think he might have been the number 1 JUCO scorer. Like he can do it. It needs to start with consistently taking more shots, because he showed us what he can do tonight. Obviously, I'm sure it's not going to be every game he's going 4 or 5 from beyond the arc, but I don't think WVU needs 4 or 5.
But I also don't think West Virginia needs him to just be a facilitator. I don't think his role should be him guarding their best guard and then facilitating offense. I think it should be him contributing on defense, not treating defense as a number 1 priority, but treating defense and then how he can help the offense and treat that as kind of a priority together.
Yeah, he's got to make himself more of a threat. Starts with limiting turnovers, bringing up the ball better, running offense just a little bit better because he's the point guard. So I'm sure some of the offensive, just standing around stagnant, maybe some of that falls on him, but obviously he played better today. And if he can get a couple threes up, maybe make 1, 2 of them, just take some more shots and facilitate. And some of those guys will be open. Sean will be open every now and then. Taz will be open. Jalen Bridges will be open every now and then. And maybe the Mountaineers can get Jalen Bridges going because it seems like he's not making some of the threes that he was making last year. But obviously, the Mountaineers had Deuce McBride bring the ball up last year. So if Keedy can take that next step, guys like that will get open.
Yeah, when Keedy, excuse me. Let me go to Jalen. When Jalen's been his best, it's when he doesn't have to create. When guys can create, drive, and then kick to Jalen, that's when Jalen has been the most capable for West Virginia. And that's when Jalen has kind of found the most 3-point success. And I think that's going to be a key for West Virginia going forward. Another guy I want to talk about real quick is Malik Curry. I think the last few games we've hit on Malik's minute share compared to Keedy's minute share. Today, Keedy had played 24 minutes. Malik played for 17. Malik finished with 11 points, going 5 and 9 from the field. I wouldn't say Malik played bad at all. I just think it was more of a defensive reason that Keedy got more minutes there. But I do think out of all of the transfers that have come in this year between Polycat, Kerrigan, and Curry, I do think Curry has elevated his game the most compared to all 3 of those.
Yeah, I think that's obvious. I think he's obviously the biggest contributor out of the grad transfers. I think the main reason is he's been really consistent as of late. There's been one game I think he was bad, but seems like every time we're talking about him, he's getting 11, scoring 11, 5 of 9. He's making free throws. I know he missed a couple today, but he's one of the most consistent free throws.
Yeah, when you go 22 of 23 or 22 of 24 from the line recently, you're gonna miss a couple, and that's okay. You can't. Well, no one's gonna be perfect.
And he attacks. He gets to the hole. He's a lefty. He gets that little running scoop shot up. He can do it with the right. He can hit the mid range. Unfortunately, the the hole in his game is the 3-point shot, but WVU doesn't need him taking a bunch of 3-point shots.
Yeah,
They
and
need him doing what he does.
that kind of upset me. I'm not sure when exactly in the game it was, but there was a point where Malik came down and took a three. And I think it was kind of they were running in transition, or they seemed to be moving, and Malik kind of took a three, and that's not his game, and they don't need him doing that. And when he does that, the percentages, like if you want to win games, you're going to play percentages, and the percentages of Malik making a three, and when you have other scoring options on the floor, I just don't think are high. One other thing I want to get to, going forward, I think the biggest thing that this team needs to change is their defense. Last couple games, they've allowed two teams to shoot over 45% from the field, and Arkansas isn't that good of an offensive team. And today, Arkansas went 45.1% from the field, 3 of 14 from three. Obviously, Arkansas is not built on their three-point shooting, but they're built on free throws and they're built on defense. West Virginia only turned the ball over 9 times, but in 2 straight games, West Virginia has allowed teams to shoot well from the field, and they've also turned them over a bunch, but they still have not been able to find wins. What's your thoughts, Aaron, on West Virginia turning teams over on defense, but still having teams be able to shoot high percentages?
Yeah, teams are getting open looks on them. I like what I saw in that what was it, 10-12-0 run for WVU to get them back into it around the midway point of the second half. Yep. I don't know if Bugs changed something up. I wasn't watching all that.
He kind of went to his zone. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Went to the 1-3-1, but they also they just started. They moved a lot more on defense. When they trapped, they rotated. And when they rotated, they were able to rebound, and then they were able to get out and move in transition, which I think this team is best at. This team is going to win games by speeding things up on defense and then speeding things up on offense. This team is not built to run half-court offense because they don't have anyone on the inside. And on defense, this team really isn't built that much for half-court defense and getting set either because they have no one on the inside that can rebound. So the way you do that is you turn teams over and then you get running on offense.
Yeah, and I liked what I saw during that run. There's a few times when WVU got Arkansas to take shots late in the shot clock. Even a couple of them were open, but they're from, I feel like Williams or one of the big men. It was just late in the shot clock, and I just feel like I haven't seen much of that this season. And when you get a team to shoot late in the shot clock, you get them trying to hit iron so there's no violation. You get guys trying to crash for the offensive board, and if it's a bad shot, if you secure that defensive rebound, you can get that transition look.
Or you draw a foul.
Draw a foul. Just get something to where it's not slowing down and setting up a half-court offense, because we've seen that WVU's half-court offense is really bad. So, yeah, force teams to get late in the shot clock and secure the board, and that puts WVU in a better position than what they've been at all year defensively.
If I'm a West Virginia coach, too, I'm telling my guys, let's look. If a team shoots more shots, there's a better chance that they're going to go in. But if we can limit the number of shots an opposing team takes by forcing them to pass the ball and get one shot in the shot clock or not get as many rebounds, then that's going to give your team a better chance to win just because they won't have as many looks at the basket.
Yeah, that, and you got to secure the defensive rebound. The defensive rebound is key. You can't have, if you're WVU, you can't have 3-4 shots on a possession, and even 2 shots on a possession. It's just WVU's allowing that too much. Saw a little bit less of that today. I feel like outside of Jalen Williams, but if you're WVU, you got to get production from Kerrigan and Cottrell as far as just securing that defensive board, going up, high pointing it, coming down with it with 2 hands, and start a transition look. That's the key, is getting that defensive board.
Yeah, so next on my list of what we should talk about, one question that we've been getting from our listeners and from fans who follow us on social media is this, and that is all hope lost? I'll let you go first, Aaron. Do you think all hope is lost on this season, or do you think West Virginia still has a chance to turn things around?
I don't hardly know. I definitely think they have a chance to turn it around. You got 5 home games. You got to clean up at the Coliseum if you're a WVU player, if you're a WVU coach. You got to think we have to secure our home floor, because they've already lost to Baylor, which, Baylor's a great team. You can't call that a bad loss.
The Baylors and the Kansases of the world, and
but but no more losing to the Oklahomas of the world when you're in Morgantown. You got if you're WVU, you got to secure home court, and you got to get one on the road, steal one, steal two, and get ready for Big 12 play. I don't think all hope is lost, but what I'm seeing right now is an NIT team if they don't turn it around soon.
Yeah, I don't think all hope is lost. I think fans and I think this team have seen enough talent, especially with McNeil and Sherman. Those guys can go and they both can give you 15, 17 plus a night. And if one of them gets hot and it can kind of bleed onto the other, I think that can kind of get this team going. And we've also seen kind of a chaotic defensive effort that has kind of sped teams up and has proved to be a formula. There's a formula there for the Mountaineers. It's just a matter of can they improve that formula and can they stick to that formula if they're going to want to turn this season around?
Yeah, they got it. They got to have an identity. I feel like over the last 5-6 games, there hasn't been much of an identity, especially offensively. Early in the season, it was like, well, you're not getting much from your other guys, but you can count on Taz getting you 20. You can count on McNeil at least every second game going out there and making a lot of threes and giving you, 15, 20. You haven't seen that much lately. You definitely haven't seen anything from Sean lately. And Taz has been turning the ball over and just, there's remnants from COVID. He doesn't play as well, and there's not much of an identity. Kedrian scored 18 today. That shocked everybody. But then the next game, Malik will score 22. But then the next game, Malik will score 6 or 8. There's not much identity. Obviously, Jalen Bridges is a guy that's, not ultra consistent either. One day he'll give you 12, 13. The next day he'll give you 4. So WVU's got to find that offensive identity right now because, with some of the injuries and just the struggles from Sean and those guys, there's not much of an identity right now.
Yeah, the one piece of good news I'm going to put out there is that in your last 3 games really, Sean McNeil has struggled mightily, and West Virginia has been in a position down 2 possessions late in a couple of those games, down 1 possession late in a couple of those games, and they've been in a position to win those games despite McNeil's struggles. And obviously, I think everyone believes, including Sean himself, that he's going to be able to figure it out at some point. And when he does, I think this team has a chance to start winning some ball games.
I agree. I think Sean's going to turn it around. I've seen him struggle. Shooters do that, but the struggle has gone on a little bit too long. I think he's right on the cusp of breaking out of it. Once he does break out of it,
look out.
Look out. And WVU's got to secure those games that he's shooting the lights out. There's been a couple games, definitely Oklahoma from last year, just absolutely shoots the lights out, and they couldn't get it. Baylor at home last year. Sean scored probably 13, 15 points in like a 5-minute span in the second half. You got to get those games. So when Sean breaks out of the slump, WVU has to secure those wins.
Do you have anything else, or do you want to get to game balls and wrap things up?
We can move on to game balls.
All right, so I'll go first tonight. Game ball, Arkansas, Jalen Williams. Obviously, we talked about him earlier. He had 15 boards, 12 points, 3 of 13 from the field, but he was able to be the force they needed on the glass. For West Virginia, I'm going to give a game ball to Keedy. Keedy played really well. Only 2 turnovers, 5 of 9 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3, showed us what he's capable of. One thing I want to say before I turn it over to you, Aaron, is Gabe. It was Gabe's homecoming. Didn't really hear much about it because, let's see, he's been with West Virginia for 3 years now. Arkansas, it's not like he was really a big time player. It's not like it was an Oscar from West Virginia to Kentucky situation, certainly. Gabe finished with 7, did foul out, 13 minutes of play. Gabe's going to give you 7. I think Gabe's kind of solidified himself to give you a solid 6-8 points per game, which is good for this team searching for offense. But I did think it was a little underwhelming in his homecoming. Not that I expected something like 25 plus, obviously, from Gabe. But game balls, who you got?
WVU, Keegan Johnson easily. Did not see that performance coming. 4 or 5 beyond the arc, 18 on the day. Definitely got to give it to him. Arkansas, I think their best player today was Jalen Williams, 12 and 15, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I'll give another one to D.C. Tony. He's getting about 10 a game, and he gave Arkansas 19, 7 boards, 3 assists, and he's shooting the ball 6 of 8. That's going to be a key contributor to a win about every single time. So I'll give it to those two for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, and one more thing before we go, I just want you to give me a prediction for how you think Monday night's going to go. Obviously, West Virginia now is going to have to go to number 4 Baylor. I'm not sure of the current Baylor Alabama score. Actually, so let's see. Baylor's trailing Alabama by 9 with just under 6 minutes left. Not sure how that game will end up. Obviously, can still break anyway. Either way, West Virginia in Waco on Monday night at 9 o'clock. Late tip for these guys it's going to be an 8 o'clock tip Texas time, I believe. So what are your thoughts? You think West Virginia goes in there, keeps things close, maybe gets a win, or do you think it's going to be another one of these blowouts?
I'd like to think that WVU is going to come out and play better first half, a cleaner first half. They're going to make it competitive. Today against Arkansas, they're like immediately down 10 points. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be a little bit more back and forth. Baylor's really good. LJ Cryer went off, Matthew Meyer. They're going to have Akinjo back. Akinjo did not play in Morgantown.
Yep.
They're a very good team, and I don't see WVU winning. I think Baylor will get off to us probably an early second half lead. Unlike Kansas on the road, I don't think they're going to scrape WVU by 25 plus. No, I don't think that'll happen. WVU will compete. I think Jalen Bridges will be the player of the game for WVU. I'll still say they lose by 9 or 10. Yeah.
When you've lost 5 straight, it's hard to go into the defending national champions' house and beat them, especially 2 days after you lost, and if what's looking like possibly 2 days after Baylor's lost. However, that could obviously change. I do think I'm going to give it to the Bears as well. I just think there's a point where there's talent and there's a talent difference. And I think that talent difference is seen when you play these top tier teams in your conference. And I think Baylor is one of those top tier teams. Baylor could easily go on and win another national championship this year. And I think West Virginia is struggling. Quick turnaround, flight from Arkansas to Waco. It isn't easy. And nothing is easy in this conference. And I just don't think the Mountaineers will get it done. But obviously, I could be pleasantly surprised and they could shock the whole Big 12 world. So I think that's it from myself and Aaron. If you made it this far, we really do appreciate you listening. Be sure to submit us any questions you might have on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're also going to be posting an email to kind of do a mailbag feature on one of our next episodes. So be sure to stick to our social media channels and look out for that. I'm Wesley Shoemaker, joined by Aaron Parker. If you made it this far, we thank you for listening. And this is the BlueGoldSports.com podcast.